Buckle up, Britain, because the monarchy has just dropped a bombshell that's shaking the very foundations of the United Kingdom. King Charles III, in a jaw-dropping and unprecedented move, has hurled a final, fiery warning at the Labour government, accusing Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his chaotic administration of slamming their grubby hands on the nation's self-destruct button. This isn't just a polite nudge from Buckingham Palace. This is a full-on royal roar, a historic clash between the crown and the state that's sending shockwaves through the corridors of power. The king is done playing nice, and he's ready to flex his authority like never before if Labour doesn't slam the brakes on what he calls a reckless, treacherous spiral into economic ruin, social chaos, and a betrayal of everything Britain holds dear. Hold on to your hats. Folks, this is the showdown of the century, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Before we dive deeper into this earth-shattering drama, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now. Don't miss a single second of this unfolding crisis. Your front row seat to history is waiting. Drop a comment below. Do you think King Charles is right to step in, or is Labour getting a raw deal? Smash that like button and join our community of truth seekers. We're breaking down the madness, and we can't do it without you. Subscribe now. Don't let the chaos pass you by. Picture this: the regal halls of Buckingham Palace, usually a bastion of calm and tradition, now buzzing with outrage. King Charles, cloaked in the weight of centuries of monarchy, has had enough. Sources close to the crown whisper of a monarch seething with royal fury, his patience shredded by a Labour government that's cloaking itself in left-wing promises while governing with a right-wing iron fist. This isn't just political theatre, it's a betrayal of Britain's soul, and the king is sounding the alarm louder than Big Ben on steroids. From slashing welfare lifelines to gambling with the nation's defences, Labour's wild policies have plunged the UK into a tailspin, and Charles is drawing a line in the sand. Reverse course, or face the consequences. The numbers don't lie, and neither does the king's wrath. Economic collapse looms like a storm cloud over London, with businesses buckling under Chancellor Rachel Reeves' punishing tax hikes, moves Charles blasts as a recipe for ruin. Social unrest is bubbling, threatening to erupt into the streets as the government guts support for the vulnerable. And the core values of Britain, Labour's trampling them underfoot, says the king, with a duplicity so brazen it's got the crown ready to throw down. This isn't just a warning, it's a regal battle cry. And the clock is ticking. Let's peel back the curtain on Labour's masquerade, because what's happening here is a scandal of Shakespearean proportions. Keir Starmer's crew swept into power waving the red flag of progressivism, promising hope and change for the working class. But hold the phone. What's this? Behind the scenes, they are slashing welfare, cozying up to big business, and tossing Britain's poorest under the bus faster than you can say class warfare. It's a right-wing wolf in left-wing sheep's clothing, and King Charles isn't buying the act for a second. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch saw it coming. She's been shouting from the rooftops that the last Tory government talked tough but governed soft. Now Labour's flipped the script, talking soft but governing tough, and the king's calling it out. Enough is enough. He's echoing the sentiment of a nation fed up with political double-dealing, slamming Labour for hitting the self-destruct button with policies so extreme they make the Tory failures look like child's play. Charles isn't mincing words. He's accusing Starmer's gang of not just exposing 14 years of conservative flops, but piling on a fresh heap of catastrophic blunders that could sink the UK into an abyss. This is no gentle nudge from the throne. It's a regal slap across the face. Let's zoom in on the spark that's lit this royal powder keg: the abolition of the winter fuel payment. Once a lifeline for Britain's pensioners, this state benefit, born in Gordon Brown's 1997 budget, has been axed by Labour in a move so heartless it's got King Charles seeing red. Picture shivering elderly folks, abandoned by a government that promised to protect them, now facing freezing winters without a penny of support. The king singled out this decision as the ultimate betrayal, a self-destructive act, that's imperiling the most vulnerable and fueling his threat of royal consequences. Sure, Labour's defenders might argue it's an outdated relic. Pensioner poverty's dropped from 45% in 1997 to 16% today, thanks to measures like the triple lock. But Charles isn't having it. His thundering from the palace that this progress is now dangling by a thread, with Labour's obsession with dismantling safety nets pushing the self-destruct button on Britain's social contract. And get this, the Tories, under Rishi Sunak, actually voted against the cut, leaving Labour to out-Tory the Tories in a twist so ironic it's got the king accusing them of callousness beyond measure. The hypocrisy is thicker than Buckingham Palace's walls, and Charles is ready to tear it down. Enter Chancellor Rachel Reeves, the architect of Labour's economic apocalypse, according to the king. She's slapped businesses with taxes so heavy they are gasping for air, a move Charles warns could trigger a private sector collapse and drag the economy into the gutter. Meanwhile, Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall's gearing up to slash billions from welfare, tightening the screws on the sick, the disabled, and the unemployed. The king's livid, branding these cuts excessively punitive and a direct assault on Britain's poorest. A self-destruct button mashed so hard it's sparking fears of riots in the streets. The stats are staggering. Disability benefit claimants jumped by 450,000 between August 2023 and August 2024, hitting 4.8 million. Health-related benefits for working-age folks, up from £36 billion in 2019 to £48 billion in 2023 to 24. Charles is waving these numbers like a battle flag, roaring that Labour's slashing these lifelines is a heartless gamble that could unravel society itself. Kendall might claim she's targeting freeloaders, but the king's not buying it. He's calling it an attack on the vulnerable, and he's threatening to step in if Labour doesn't back off. This is royal intervention on steroids, and it's got Westminster quaking. So what's Charles got up his sleeve? The palace isn't spilling the beans, but whispers of decisive action are sending chills down Labour's spine. Is this a constitutional crisis in the making? A monarch flexing muscles we haven't seen since the days of beheadings and rebellions. The king's aides say he's told them Labour's driving the nation off a cliff, and is not about to sit back and watch the crash. From Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson's union puppet antics to Ed Miliband's caricature-worthy flailing, Charles sees a leadership so incoherent it's begging for a royal smackdown. Critics might scoff. Some say Labour's just cleaning up the Tories' mess, doing the tough stuff the last government dodged. But Charles isn't here for excuses. He's dismissed the contradictions with a wave of his scepter, insisting Labour's actions scream louder than their spin. Welfare cuts, defense gambles, tax hikes. It's a reckless trajectory that's got the king poised to assert his authority like a lion defending its pride. This isn't just about policy, it's about the soul of Britain, and Charles is ready to fight for it. As March 9, 2025, dawns, the UK teeters on a knife edge. King Charles has thrown down the gauntlet, and Labour's got a choice: back off the self-destruct button or face a royal reckoning. The nation's watching, breathless, as this historic standoff unfolds. Will Starmer bow to the crown's fury, or will he double down, daring Charles to make good on his threat? One thing's for sure, this isn't just politics as usual. It's a clash of titans, a battle for Britain's future, and the fallout could reshape the realm for generations. Don't miss the next twist in this saga. Subscribe now and join the conversation. Tell us in the comments, is King Charles the hero Britain needs, or is Labour the real victim here? Hit that like button. Share this with your mates, and let's keep the fire burning. The Crown's spoken. Where do you stand?